Before starting this video, I do want to give a shout out to my patrons that support the channel. And if you'd like to support the channel, there are some great benefits for you if you want to look at the Patreon link down below. So with that out of the way, let's get into this week's video. Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Devin coming back at you with another video today on PubStomp MTG. Glad to have you here. So today I wanted to focus my efforts around Etali Primal Conqeuror. This is an absolutely amazing commander. I love it for what it does, and honestly, it's a dinosaur. What's not to love about Etali? I do have my Jurassic Park shirt ready to go today because Etali is an absolutely amazing commander, and also seeing Jurassic Park 3 with the Spinosaurus was pretty cool as well. So this was truly love at first sight with this commander. I absolutely love it. It's amazing, and also on top of that, it is a great combo engine in the deck. That's why I wanted to run it as a CDH deck. I did make a high-powered deck recently when the first spoilers came out for Etali, but I decided I wanted to make another video today focusing on the CDH format and how we could optimize Etali. So in this video, I am going to be discussing what ways we could combo out and win with Etali, also how we could protect our combo engines when we're going off, and on top of that, some interesting includes I wanted to throw in here because again, there's going to be a lot of different things that we need to do to compete with different colors like black and blue especially. But with this deck, we're really trying to utilize his ETB and the ways we could win with that. Before I do get any further, I do want to mention that I do have a deck list down below if you do want to go check it out. It's as optimized as it can be. Obviously, it is more of a guideline for you. It is actually my own deck list I have in paper. I play tested this roughly 10 games and won 4 games, so it is pretty consistent. What I did notice is there's a lot of creature combos that I won over more than some other combos that I'm going to mention further on to the video. But this is a great commander. I absolutely had a blast with it, so definitely one to check out. So let's get into some of the combos. So playtesting Etali was pretty fun. There was a lot of different combos I ran that actually worked pretty well, but nothing really did compare to Temur Sabertooth and Dockside Extortionist. So out of all the combos, I would say this is the most consistent, mainly because they're both creatures. We do have access to great green tutors to search up creatures, so of course this is going to be our most consistent win con. So to summarize the combo, essentially we're going to be putting Dockside Extortionist back to our hand and replaying it constantly so that we can get infinite treasure, mainly due to Temur Sabertooth's ability. In order to make enough treasure, we do need our opponents to have 5 or more artifacts or enchantments on the battlefield. Then when we do get enough treasure on the battlefield, we can constantly play Etali back and forth on the battlefield and return it back to our hand with Temur Sabertooth's ability. We could also exploit Dockside Extortionist's ability by using Cloudstone Curio. So if you do have a mana dork on the battlefield like Birds of Paradise, you could essentially make infinite mana when you do cast Dockside Extortionist. Cloudstone Curio will bounce that Birds of Paradise to your hand. As long as you made 4 or more treasures, you can essentially cast that Birds of Paradise, bouncing that Dockside Extortionist back to your hand, and then repeating that for an infinite amount of treasures. So when you do generate infinite amount of treasures, you could play Etali from the command zone onto the battlefield, and then you could bounce Dockside Extortionist from the battlefield to your hand, and then kind of go back and forth, exiling everybody's library or playing everybody's library as well. Another combo we could utilize in this deck is using Food Chain. So with Food Chain, the combo is pretty simple. We exile one of our Food Chain creatures like Cedh the Immortal or Eternal Scourge to Food Chain back and forth so that we gain infinite amount of creature mana. So with this, we could then cast our commander, exile it to Food Chain to recast our commander over and over again with that ETB, exiling our opponent's graveyard or finding a Wincon in our own deck. I did have an interesting situation in one game where I just had Food Chain out and then I exile all the creatures I had on the board to cast Etali, and when I did cast Etali, I found more creatures from our opponent's library and from my own library to exile to Food Chain to recast Etali over and over again. I roughly did that 4 or 5 times to eventually find Cedh the Immortal, so then I could use Cedh's ability to sacrifice it to Food Chain to gain infinite creature mana, and then I went right back to Etali, exiling him to Food Chain, and then going back and forth with that to win the game. I did also want to add a clean combo with Dualcaster Mage, Twin Flame, or Heat Shimmer. So again, this is a pretty clean combo to win the game, but separately with Twin Flame and Heat Shimmer, it actually works pretty well with our commander. Again, we want to use that ability as much as we can to enter the battlefield so that we can play cards from exile exile. So of course this is a classic combo we must run in the deck. So those are the combos I ran in the deck. Most of the games I've won with Dockside and Temur Sabertooth. Those are probably 2 games out of the 4 that I did win. I was able to pull off those combos mainly because of tutors, specifically with these tutors with Invasion of Ikoria and Finale of Devastation. What's absolutely fantastic about these tutors compared to other tutors is they act as a tutor and on top of that as a reanimation spell. In one of my games, someone countered my Dockside Extortionist and I played Invasion of Ikoria so that I could put Dockside back on the battlefield when I paid 4 into Invasion of Ikoria. And in another game where I did win, I did play Finale of Devastation and I just basically had infinite mana because of Dockside Extortionist and Temur Sabertooth. So after playing everyone's deck, including mine, I had Finale of Devastation in the graveyard and I did play Eternal Witness to put Finale of Devastation back to my hand. So I basically had like 15 creatures on the battlefield and then I pumped it up to infinity and then killed everybody with their own creatures. So again, these spells are absolutely fantastic. They have multi-use just outside of just a tutor. They also act as a reanimation spell, or in a case of Finale of Devastation, just a straight up win con. Another tutor I did like, mainly because it's recurable, is Green Sun Zenith. You can search your library for a green creature card with mana value X or less and put it onto the battlefield, then you shuffle it into your library. So this could find your Temur Sabertooths, your Allosaurus Shepherds if you want to protect your combo, or your Destiny Spinners. But with this next card, it absolutely won me the game with Shared Summonings. You could essentially search your library for up to 2 creature cards with different names, reveal them and put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. This is the reason why I emphasize Temur Sabertooth and Dockside Extortionist being the main win con, is mainly because of all the creature tutors we have access to in the deck. Specifically this one, because at the end step of your opponents before your turn, you can search your library for a Dockside Extortionist and Temur Sabertooth to win the game next turn. Again, this is a very excellent card because it just doesn't search for 1 creature, it searches for 2 creatures. What's nice about this, you don't even have to search up your win cons. You could also search up hate pieces like Collector Oof or Allosaurus Shepherd, just so that you don't want your spells to be countered. So this is basically a card where it says I win the game because I find my 2 win cons, unless your Dockside or Temur Sabertooth are exiled from your library. Speaking of which, I know I mentioned this recently, but I do want to emphasize protecting your win cons. To be quite honest, green does an excellent job at that, especially against those control colors of black and blue. So I did mention this one previously with Allosaurus Shepherd. It can't be countered and green spells you control can't be countered, whether it be your Temur Sabertooth or your food chain. It's a great card to add to this list. And on top of that, we do have a lot of elves we can make into 5/5s, just in case if the game gets grindy and we need a way to win. I would argue Destiny Spinner is a little better. Creature and enchantment spells you control can't be countered. So Allosaurus Shepherd is restricted to just green spells. Destiny Spinner ensures that our creatures like Etali or Dockside can't be countered, and also our food chain as well. I did also want to talk about some funky includes, some things that you might not consider in a deck, mainly because they might be not the most optimal cards, but I do have the new card with Into the Fire. This does act as a great board wipe, especially for those Tymna players that have a lot of dorks on the battlefield where they're getting a lot of value. You could stop them by playing that first side. Also on top of that, it does act as a wheel for yourself, putting any number of cards into your hand on the bottom of your library and then drawing that much cards +1. So this has some great board control, especially against those Tymna players, or it has some great card selection. Another card I found really great in this deck is Shaman's Trance. For 3 mana until end of turn, other players can't play cards from their graveyards, and you may play cards from other players' graveyards as though they were in your graveyard. To be quite honest, I'm not sure why this doesn't see as much play. A lot of people do play Mnemonic Betrayal. This is essentially a better version of that. This shuts off people who are trying to Underworld Breach win, and you could use this offensively, casting cards from your opponent's graveyards. This is a highly underrated card, definitely one that you should consider playing yourself. Lastly, I did want to mention Collector Oof. A lot of people may think this is a wrong card to add to this list because it's a nombo with our Dockside Extortionist. In some instances, it's not the optimal play, but in most cases, if we do have Dockside Extortionist and we also do have Temur Sabertooth, we could easily bounce Collector Oof with Temur Sabertooth's ability so that we could use our combo to win with Dockside Extortionist and Temur Sabertooth. However, that's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and watching this video with Etali Primal Conqueror. Again, this is a pretty fun commander that I've been playtesting over and over again, and actually found some pretty great results with playing him, and especially in a CDH environment. This is pretty fun overall. Again, we are restricted in Gruul colors, so we don't have blue or we don't have black to help us outpace our opponents with black, with Ad Nauseam, or we don't necessarily have the control with blue. But overall, I did find really great results with him, mainly because of different combos we do have in there. But again, let me know down below in the comments, what do you think of Etali, especially in CDH? So make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And with that out of the way, thank you for stopping by.